Hey, it's Josie with Affirmation Pod, your home for self-care and reflection. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're not feeling burdened and stressed. And if you are, maybe today's a fitting episode for you. So last month, we finished the money management theme. This month's theme is stress management. And to start us off, could you finish this sentence for me? When I feel stressed, what came to mind? For me, when stress hits, I get bitchy, cranky. I know that doesn't paint a very nice picture of me, but it's true. I totally, even if it's I don't get enough sleep or I'm feeling frustrated, trying to problem solve something and the problem isn't solved. I've had clients who say, when I feel stressed, I eat. And then I get locked into this cycle because I overeat because I'm unhappy. And I'm unhappy because I overeat. And it just keeps going round and round. So today's a big brainstorming day. Put your brainstorming hats on because we're going to rack our brains on the best ways to manage stress. And I've broken it down. This is all in the Stress Management Worksheet, which you can get at affirmationpod.com/stress. So feel free to go there if you want to follow along. Again, affirmationpod.com/stress. I'm going to go through my answers in this episode. If you're new to Affirmation Pod, that's what I've been doing the last 8 months of the year. Theming every month and starting off each month with a worksheet based on the theme. So, Stress Management Worksheet. What I've got here is a worksheet where you can think through when you were stressed and you dealt with it in a way that helped you deal with the stress and it didn't hurt you or add to the stress, create more stress. Think about what those things were. Or if you're kind of like, you know what, I don't manage stress very well. Well, if you were in a situation where you felt stressed, what could you do instead of saying things you don't mean, which is me, or looking for solutions in the fridge or cupboard, or drinking the stress away, whatever it might be? I've broken it down into time frames because it seems with stress, depending on the stress, there's kind of that window of time where, and sometimes it's like the shock or the frustration or just the emotional charge of it can last not that long, and other times it can last a long time. It also depends on how much time you have to manage the stress. So it's broken down into less than 20 seconds, less than 20 minutes, less than an hour, or more than an hour. I encourage you to write down 3 answers for each one. You could do more, you could do less, whatever works for you. But let it be an exercise to get your mind and your brain starting to shift gears. And also a resource that you can look at whenever you feel stressed. Or you can put it somewhere as a reminder the next time you feel stressed, what you can do. Okay, so here's what I put. My best ways to manage stress that take less than 20 seconds are 1, deep breaths. I find even if my emotional charge is still strong, at least I'm physically sending that message to my body and activating my parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system acts like a brake. It's like the calm down system of the body. And you may say, and I've had clients say, you know what, it doesn't work. And oftentimes when you look at your responses, okay, it definitely looks more like it doesn't work than it does work. Because we sometimes have that patience for change that lasts about 3 minutes and then we give up. But just like when somebody wants to get to a healthier weight, it's going to take longer than 3 minutes to get there. And every time we practice something like deep breaths, those neural pathways fire and create a different path from the usual stress response. The second thing I put is I can walk away or give myself a little time out. So sometimes just removing myself from the environment, the room, the situation can cool me off. And a third thing that I at times do, which takes less than 20 seconds, is I tap, which is the slang way of talking about a technique called emotional freedom technique. I'm not going to go deep into this here, but it's sort of a self-help meridian points therapy that I was introduced to by a colleague who I worked with in one of the private practices I used to work in. And it's definitely not research-based compared to something like cognitive behavioral therapy, but at the very least, it does distract me and it does have me engaging quickly in a different activity. And again, it's called emotional freedom technique. If you're curious about it, you can Google it. I'm not familiar enough with it to know the best websites and resources out there for it. But that is something that I do. Okay, let's move on. Less than 20 minutes. So basically more than 20 seconds, less than 20 minutes. If you've been following this podcast, you could probably guess I stretch, love stretching. I go for a walk. And of course, you probably could guess this one too, I journal. And those are 3 simple, easy go-to ways. Don't need money, don't need special equipment, don't need access to a car, nothing like that. Just stretch, just walk, or just journal. So the next one, more than 20 minutes, but less than an hour. I can read or research something, research a topic or tackle my to-do list. I can go for a longer walk to one of our bigger parks or even go to the mall, do some window shopping and just get my mind off the stress for a little while. And 3, I can also work out. I can exercise, throw on some YouTube, do some dancing, get my body moving. And the last category is my best ways to manage stress that take more than an hour. I put go out for dinner, especially because if I'm stressed, I am not in the mood to cook. I can take a nap and sleep for a while. I can also binge on a podcast, maybe Tim Ferriss's podcast. He's got such long episodes. Well, and I also got on here Periscope, but I actually deleted that app a while ago because things have really died off with Periscope. So binge on podcasts. Now, I know some of my friends would watch a movie, and that takes more than an hour, gets their mind off of whatever it is they were stressed by. I'm not a movie person, but that definitely is an option. I really encourage you to unpack for yourself. What are the best ways to manage stress for you? It's likely going to look different than my list, but that's okay because we all manage stress differently. Next month's worksheet is going to be the Self-Care Worksheet. And so I want to point out when you do complete this worksheet, think of it through the lens of stress management, not self-care, which are different. Stress management is more like an intervention mechanism, and self-care is more like a prevention mechanism, preventing stress from happening, preventing stress as much as possible. Stress management is when stress has happened. How are you going to deal with it? And again, you can get it at affirmationpod.com/stress. So just to review, things that take less than 20 seconds for me: deep breaths, walking away, giving myself a timeout, or tapping with the emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT. Stuff that takes more than 20 seconds but less than 20 minutes is stretching, going for a walk, or journaling. Things that take more than 20 minutes but less than an hour, I can read or research, go for an extended walk, or work out, exercise. And stuff that takes more than an hour and helps me manage stress is go out for dinner, take a nap, go to sleep, or binge on podcasts. You might notice that my answers are very go-to answers. They're not things like, oh, I will call my best friend or text her, because as much as she is willing to help me through any stress and be a listening ear, she may not be available, right? We got to find things that are like immediate, because when stress happens, the most stressful time is that immediate window. It's not a time to be finding an activity where you got to be filling out forms and strapping on gear, whatever. That's great for self-care. We're looking at stress management here. You know, it's really hard to change how we manage stress, especially because it's often a reaction that we've learned as children or we've adopted somewhere because it was the way to function. It was the way to maybe defend or protect ourselves from the stress, the stressor. But often at this stage of life, they're not needed anymore. But it's hard to react in a different way if we've been reacting a certain way for a long time. My mini course, The Change Framework, can help reprogram reactions. And I make no guarantees that changing your reactions to stress is easy, but it is very possible. It does take time. I outline it all in my mini course, The Change Framework. Take a look. affirmationpod.com/change is where you'll find it. And you can use promo code STRESS to get $30 off. Again, affirmationpod.com/change with promo code STRESS to get $30 off. Hope to see you there. Okay, that's it for today's episode. Much love to all of you who are subscribing to this podcast and leaving ratings and reviews. I appreciate it so much. This is Josie with Affirmation Pod, your home for self-care and reflection. Thank you so much for clicking play and connecting in today. I wish you excellent stress management muscles and strategies. Bye for now.